And this is game number 2 of a best of 3 going on in the Steel Series StarCraft 2 League group stages. Of course, map number 1 did of course go to Kjeks in his sweet composition of Swarm Hosts and Mutalisks that seemed very effective. Map number 2 now, and spawning in the bottom left hand position, we've got our red Zerg player representing ZvZ Gaming. It's SolO. And his opponent to the top right, the teal Zerg, sorry, the pink Zerg rather, representing Kjeks, it's Kjeks. Of course, cool fact for anyone who doesn't frequently watch me stream, I'm colorblind between pink and grey, which means that I can only barely tell the difference between pink and teal in StarCraft 2, which makes it a terrible, terrible time. Anyway, for the moment, both players opening up pretty sensibly, pretty normal. No sign of anything absolutely crazy. And, well, that's really always the way it's going to be, unless you get a really early spawning pool. Kjeks up to a 15 pool, so slightly ahead now of SolO. Maybe SolO a little bit, I don't want to say a little bit on tilt from game number 1, because it's only one game, but being a game down in a best of 3, you always are going to get yourself a little bit concerned with how things are going, because you never want to be a game down in a best of 3, because you've got an uphill battle. All evidence says that your opponent can beat you, and you've got to beat him twice in a row, which is still an unknown. So keeping a close eye on what these guys are doing, both getting their expansions down at pretty similar times. SolO getting his up earlier, but his spawning pool later. I believe he actually went for a hatch first build up against the pool first build of Kjeks. Kjeks, though, only a little behind in his hatchery timing, and as a result, should be fine because he's going to have the earlier queen and earlier Zerglings. In game number 1, we of course saw SolO be the aggressor early on. He was very happy to pump out a lot of Lings and a lot of Banelings to see just how much he could do. But it didn't really pay off. A good defense by Kjeks meant that, for the most part, that was wasted resources. But it was still a very back and forth game. Neither player getting a huge lead until Kjeks started with the Swarm Host plans, and that just slowly wore down his opponent through effective denial of a third base. So, for the most part, this is looking, again, really safe, really secure for both of them. Nothing crazy going on. They're both about to have their natural bases down, they've both got their spawning pools, and they're both currently mining off of one gas. Kjeks is slightly ahead in his gas count, but only by about 60 Vespian. So, actually no, he's actually behind slightly. I take that back because Zergling speed has already been started by SolO. So, he's behind a little bit in his speed timing, but only by about 20 seconds, which is really nothing to be too concerned about. The drone count as well, incredibly level. Only a 1 drone advantage for Kjeks at the moment, which he's going to maintain. But still, incredibly small gains. Nothing yet to really differentiate between who's ahead, who's behind. And the same can be said for their Baneling nests. Only about 15 seconds difference between them. Probably going to see a Spine Quarter also come down from SolO, unless he's going to be very aggressive again. And if he is going to be aggressive, then he can cut the spine, because he doesn't need a static defensive structure if he's going to be the one applying pressure. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. There's only a couple of Lings out in the field, and there's still heavy droning coming down for both of these two. But I think for Kjeks, it's a smart move getting down the spine, just in case. Doesn't want to get caught off guard by an aggressive play from his opponent, and if he can defend even as well as he did in game number 1, he knows he can turn that into an eventual win. So Metabolic Boost coming in now for both players. It's already finished, I do believe, for SolO. So Kjeks just catching up now. Not really going to make much difference in this trade. Only a couple of Lings there, poking, having a bit of fun. Otherwise, nothing scary is really happening for the most part. We do have, interesting now, Kjeks going up to Lair. This is a lot sooner than his opponent is taking a Lair. But that's because SolO is opting for the exceptionally early third hatchery. He grabbed this down at about 6 minutes 30, pretty much as early as you can realistically do it. But Kjeks, he's going on the aggressive. Doesn't even yet know that that third is there. But he's still got a good number of speedlings down. He should ideally come and check it. And that's precisely what he's going to do. Poking down. Finds the third hatchery. And it's now going to try and tussle to force the cancel. Couple of banelings morphing in on both sides. Superior zergling numbers though. But massive hit went down there for SolO. Using that high ground vision exceptionally well. And as a result now, Kjeks just doesn't have anything to harass this base. And may even be susceptible to a counterattack. A decent number of lings pushing across. They're going to be trying to find a nice way to get some damage down. And the third base is where Kjeks is morphing in most of his defensive banelings. Because that's where he's expecting the push. And it's where I would be expecting the push. However, SolO isn't aware that the third is even there yet. Decent number of banelings coming through on both sides. The total baneling count's up though at the moment for SolO. 5-2. But that can very suddenly change. Couple of lings trying to end this out. But a big hit went down for Kjeks there. Not such a big hit on the next one. But SolO's still moving forward. He should be able to force a cancel here. But counterattack coming through as well. +1 carapace going to be kicking in for SolO soon. That means that his lings will take 2 hits from banelings rather than just 1. A massive advantage. But still, pressure coming in every which way. SolO pulling all of his banelings back to try and defend. Able to keep up his third while denying his opponent theirs. Best situation to be in, and this is looking really solid now for SolO. Kjeks has to get some amazing baneling hits, but he's so far down on banelings. That was a fantastic trade though for Kjeks. However, SolO just doesn't care. He's throwing his hands up in the air because he's like, I got all these banelings. 1A, baby. And he moves forward. This is so many banelings. The drone line is going to be the target. There's more than enough to decimate it. Some big hits go through. SolO hugely up in the work count at the moment, and he's continuing on the pressure. Takes down a queen. More zerglings flooding in for both players currently. But things seem to be going in huge favour of SolO, who pushes through, and Kjeks has no choice but to GG out. And that means SolO levels out this series to be 1-1.